Hi, welcome to How to Repair. This video is on how to change a belt on a condenser tumble dryer. We will also show you how to change the bearing system. We're working on a Zanussi, but this video is good for Aeg and Electrolux. The first thing you will notice if your tumble dryer belt is snapped is you can hear the motor running, but the drum is not turning. Now if you've been using the machine and after 15-20 minutes you open the door and find that the clothes are in a damp, warm pile at the bottom, it's a good sign that your belt has gone, but the only way to check it is to actually take the lid off and inspect the belt is actually on the drum at the top, which I will show you now. To remove the lid on this tumble dryer, you need a 7mm socket. On some of the machines they did fit Torx or they fitted Phillips screws. Now you can see that the belt is clearly gone and fallen down to the bottom. You can see the old mark on the machine, but the first thing we need to do is remove the vent cover at the back. This is held on with 3 screws and then there's 5 clips. Now I'm using 2 small screwdrivers and just depressing the clip and then pulling it back towards me and you'll get the cover off. Be careful, as sometimes the plastic can get brittle because it's got hot over a period of time. Now here we have the heater cover. We need to remove this as there's one hidden screw down below the heater, which I'll show you in a minute. But I'm just doing the bearing cover there. And here is the bearing shaft. Now we've got to remove all these screws around the outside, mainly on the left hand side, as that's the panel that we're going to take off to access the motor. But first we'll remove this vent cover. And there you go. It's a good idea to actually, if there's a large build-up of fluff in there, to use a vacuum cleaner and just hoover up any loose fluff. Now there's a circlip on the bearing. I'm just removing the circlip and then you'll find there's a washer below. I'll show you in more detail here. A small screwdriver should be good enough to remove the circlip. Then you remove the washer. Now this is the bearing housing. So we're going to remove the 3 screws and I'm also going to mark up the way the cover comes off so that I put it back on correctly. Now I usually find this the fastest way on these Zanussis to change the belt. Some people actually change it by removing the front of the machine and fitting the belt on from the front. You'll notice that some of the screws are longer than others. Best to keep them in order. The reason being is some of the screws go into plastic and some of the screws go into steel, and this is the reason why they're actually longer. And here's the hidden screw which I was telling you about. So you definitely need to remove all the screws at the bottom, all the screws at the left hand side and most of them on the right hand side. And then the panel just clips off. And here you can see the old belt. Now the next thing we need to do is remove the motor fan blade cover. This is held on with 1 screw. Then the housing just clips off. Just a little clip at the bottom. And here you can see the motor fan blade. Now I actually fit the belt without taking the fan blade off. But if you're finding it difficult to fit, you will need to take the fan blade off. It's just held on with a clip. So the first thing I'm doing here is getting the belt onto the motor shaft itself and then taking the belt around the drum, making sure to keep the belt the correct way, which is the groove side towards the machine. Or towards the drum, sorry. And there we go. Now, we're not actually going to put the belt onto the pulley until we've reassembled the back of the machine and fitted the bearings, as it's going to put too much tension on the drum if we do this first. So I'm just making sure it's all lined up. And now we'll put all the screws back. Again, remember to make sure the screws go back in their correct places. Some of them go into plastic, especially the 3 down the bottom. While I'm doing this, you'll find some links above which will take you through to the tumble dryer belt section. You can either enter your model number, which you will find around the door area on the ID plate to find the belt, or you could enter the belt number. Now this belt, for example, is a 1975 H7. They have fitted a H8 and a H5 to this type of machine, so you can either find this written on the belt itself, or you will have to search the website via your model number. You will also be able to find the bearing system, which I'm replacing here. Now we're just putting the washer on, and then we're going to put the circlip on. Now make sure it slides into the groove, and then just use a pair of pin nose pliers just to clip it back onto the shaft. Then rotate it with a screwdriver just to make sure it's sat in the groove correctly. Again, the link above will take you through to the tumble dryer section where you're able to buy the bearings. You'll just have to put your model number in, or send us an email and we'll locate it for you. Now that this is done, we're going to take the tensioning spring off the motor. This spring puts the tension onto the pulley wheel via the motor to actually tension the belt to the drum. So we're just getting the belt round to the front here, just easing it forward slightly. It's a very tight fit, and we've got the belt now correctly on the pulley wheel. So we're going to make sure it's all lined up and then put the spring back on. And this is what puts the tension onto the belt so it can grip the drum. Now at this point you might need to just move the belt on the grooves on the motor to make sure it's lining up on the old mark and sitting squarely on the pulley wheel. It should sit in the middle. And there you go. Now just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to connect the machine up so you can see it all working. There you go, you can see the belt rotating on the pulley wheel in the center, so we're happy with that. So we'll disconnect it from the electricity, replace the fan motor cover, the blade cover, clips into place, and then just replace the screw. And now we'll replace the side panel. There's 3 lugs. You can see the 3 lugs on the bottom of the machine there, and these 3 holes sit over the lugs. And you've got one plastic piece at the front which just needs to slot inside, so you need to put it back a little bit and then move it forward. And there we go, we've got the side panel on. While I'm putting all the screws back on the back, please remember to subscribe to our channel, as that's what keeps us going and able to make these free videos for you. You'll also find a link to join us at Facebook. And if you found this video helpful, you can always buy us a beer with the donate button on this page. Now we're going to replace the heater guard. Remember that the 3 screws at the bottom here are longer than the rest. That's because they insert into the plastic, which I mentioned earlier. And then the shorter ones go into the steel. Right, just replacing all the screws here. Remember, at the website you will find video tutorials on all repairs on tumble dryers, from capacitor changes, drum changes, bearing changes, etc. Just making sure that the guard is on correctly here, replacing the 3 screws. Just replace the lid. Set the machine to 10 minutes, make sure everything's working perfectly, and there you go. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, as that's what keeps us going and able to make these videos for you.